the Medicaid system, the food stamp system, the social security,
Yeah, like you see it comes up. Yeah, like on any of these things.
What?
See, she has it. That's her account. That's not the camp account. That's why I keep saying it shouldn't. It has to be a camp account.
Who's Josephine?
That's my question. Who is that?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
oh.
That's what makes this a little bit challenging.
More than makes you get
Good morning.
My name's Angela Elgard. I'm a member here, but I don't get to volunteer as often as I'd like.
Well, shame on you.
I know. Anyway, I was asking Lou if there's anything that I can do to be of service this morning. If you're short somebody or you want me to jump in or do something, I would be
Well, you're a
more than
member.
happy to do that.
We could definitely use
Sure,
ushers
sure.
this morning. So,
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Allison Allegarth?
Angela. Angie. My friends call me Angie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Angie. That's French. Allegarth.
It's actually, my husband is from Copenhagen, Denmark.
I
He was born and
it
raised.
could be a little bit.
He was born and raised in Copenhagen.
Nice. Okay.
He came to this country, I think, when he was about 10 or 12 years old. So that's where I get the name from. My last name, my maiden name, is D'Alessandro.
Okay.
So I have
Spaniard.
I have a very, my family's from Sicily.
Oh.
So that's, I'm first generation American here.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, it was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
I
Nice
used to
meeting
be
you.
married to a bunch of
What's your email address?
So my email is ANGELGAARD66 at Gmail.
Gmail.
Yeah.
And your telephone number, if you don't
Is
mind?
386-748
748
1371.
371. Okay, so I'll add you to the
Yeah,
volunteer
I mean,
list, and then
yeah.
when I send out updates, you'll be automatically included in the updates.
Okay, wonderful.
Because I'm sure you probably
appreciate
get it from the.
I do get the emails from the office.
Okay.
And unfortunately, so I work at the blind school in Daytona. So I work with blind folks. I teach students how to entrepreneur their own business, and that
Nice.
keeps me really busy. So I try to get out here as often as I can, but unfortunately lately I have not been able to get out here.
But there may be things that you could
But-
help out with that you don't have to be present for, but may
Right.
be able to help us.
Sure, and when I come here, as I said, I could be of service when I'm here. So,
I used to work in social and rehabilitative services, and a lot of
okay.
the social workers
there's
were blind, so I had a lot of these folks. Actually, one of my great prides is I rewrote the fee schedule to be more acceptable.
wow.
I was sitting there one day at her class, and she came in, and she said, "How are you doing?" I said, "Great." She said, "You're kidding me. You're not doing well at all." Because you can see the colors of it all. So I learned a great deal from her. And when you go and have the aura done, you have to remember it changes. Does anybody know why the aura changes? I'm going to ask you questions. Come on.
Because things change.
Pardon me?
Life, things change in your life.
Correct, sure. Yeah. Things bother you, and when it does, the aura contracts back into you more. And when it doesn't bother you, it goes right out. So the colors represent a lot of things. Does anybody know what the color blue represents? Uh-huh. What? Okay. Now, the way I was taught, it represents spirituality. Spiritual. And I see, when I do readings, I see colors around people, and you can tell if they're very spiritual or they're not very spiritual. And I do that even if I'm on radio or TV, when people call in, I can still see the colors around them. So the colors have a lot to do with it. For example, purple, in my estimation, the way I was taught, represents healing abilities. And a lot of times I see that healing color from the hands up to about the elbow, which means that they're very strong in the healing itself. What is the aura? Anybody know? What is it? It's a what? Okay. Anybody else? What? Energy. Anybody else? No one wants to go first? I think it's a soul. I'll tell you why I say that. Does anybody remember Edgar Casey? Has anybody heard about them? Okay. Well, he was in Chicago, I believe it was, and he was going to go in an elevator. And he saw the people standing there, but he didn't see any colors around them. No feel of nothing. Not this shitty, not this cold. So he said, "I'll take the next one down." As soon as the doors closed, the elevator collapsed. And everybody was killed aboard it. That was the soul that left the body. So in my estimation, I could be wrong, but what my dad had been telling me is that the aura that we see is actually an emanation of the soul itself. And you can actually sense that around people. You don't even have to see the colors. For example, if you shake hands with somebody and give them a hug, you'll feel or sense that vibration, if you want to call it that, of that energy around them. Has anybody done that before? Sure, yeah. So if you give somebody a hug, for example, you're going to feel that energy, that soul energy. Oh, if you get close to them. A lot of times you go see somebody and you get close to them and you say, "I don't know why I don't like that person." But maybe the nicest person, but there's something about them. And you find out later that there is something wrong. So it's quite interesting. Is there any questions you may want to come up with? And I'm going to stand here for days, hours. Yes?
When you say see, do you see with the physical eyes, or do you see like mentally the color?
Good question. I get my information. I don't do anything. As a medium, I'm getting all the information from my guide. She tells me what the colors are, what's around them, and what it represents. So I guess it's more on a mental vibration. Anybody else?
I just want to say that your aura changes constantly. So I'm reading today in an hour I read something.
Cool. Oh yeah, it could change in a second. It changes in a second. You could be very positive right now, walk outside and something will come up and you'll be worried about something, and all of a sudden that will emanate itself by shrinking in or bending out. You're correct. Yes, ma'am.
I just wondered if you know if anyone did any studies on like babies' auras.
Baby daughters?
Newborn babies. I wondered if they'd all be the same.
If they what?
If they would all be the same or different or?
Oh, probably different, because you're talking about a different soul energy, soul vibration. Each baby is different than the next. Yeah, so you're gonna see something different now. Yeah. That's a good question, sure. And even the animals have a vibrational frequency or sure. Come on, I'm gonna fall asleep up here. It's a long ride from Melbourne up here. Come on.
Work with the aura for healing, like if you're doing healing or anything like that, can we sense the aura and help to heal via the aura?
A lot of times, yes. Yeah. If I'm doing a healing procedure on somebody, I can see what's going on with the aura. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give a test in a few minutes. No.
When you're working with someone and you're, analyzing their odds, say they have a particular problem, how do you go about their behavior, finding a solution to that problem?
How about doing what?
When you're working with someone and
Yeah.
you're reading their odds,
Yeah.
and they might have a particular problem. For instance, you said, when an issue comes up, your aura pulls in. How do you go about advising them on how to fix that problem or work with it?
Well, I'm kind of a blunt medium. I tell it like it is. I don't sway things. I don't believe in that. People go to have a reading, they want to know the truth. So if I see something they need to work on, I'm going to tell them. Because that's what they came for. If they have an issue and my guy says they need to do that, I'm going to tell them exactly. It's up to them to carry it through. I think you have to be honest with the readings, whether it's the aura reading or whether it's a regular mediumship, which is the same difference. Mediumship reading. Yeah. I've done that many times. Is that an easy question?
It does.
Okay.
Have you actually had any people who did exactly like what you were telling them?
I always tell people when they come in for reading to leave the eggs in the car. No, to be honest with you, I don't take credit for any of this. I really don't, because my guy's the one that's doing it. I really believe that. And she's very good at what she mentions. So I've had some good responses from that, which makes me feel good that I have a good guy with me. But again, my guy is the one that does it, not me. I usually hand her the W-2 forms at the end of the year.
So are you saying that your guide sees all, and you don't see any color, your guide tells you what colors?
Well, I take that back because not to mention I do see the colors around people. I don't know why, but she's the one that shows me the colors. For example, I see the color blue around you right now. Yeah. Even if you're blonde, you see the color blue. But she will tell me what the colors represent.
And do they always represent the same thing?
Pardon me?
Do they always represent the same thing?
I believe they do. The colors blue around people represents to me spirituality. And when I say that, they say I am working on my spiritual growth, or something's coming up spiritually. So it confirms what I'm saying. Even on radio. I mean, I can't see anybody on the radio, but when I say you have this or that, they say, well, that makes sense because that's what I'm feeling right now. People are pretty honest with it. You know.
Can you give us some definitions of some other colors?
No.
What they represent?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put it this way. The colors that were taught by me was taught by my teacher. So, I mean, you can go to the bookstore and you get all kinds of colors, but I believe what I see is correct for me. For example, the color yellow around an individual represents feeling good about themselves. The color brown is earthy. That means the individual's more earthy in their life. White around an individual, and I see that a lot around the colors, represent protection, divine protection. Red, to me, represents energy. And I see that not an awful lot, but when I say that to people say, yeah, I'm always on the go. It doesn't mean anger. I don't buy that at all. And the green represents security. But there's two forms of security. One is feeling good about yourself, and the other is financial security. So you have to be a little bit more definitive with that. I don't get into the other shades of colors, but those are the colors, and there's a few others that mean a lot. All right? My pleasure. I sent him my bill later. Who else? Step down next please.
What do you find is the most common color that you run into with people?
Lately, it's become blue, because I believe people are getting more spiritually inclined these days. I see that an awful lot. It doesn't mean they're going to become spiritual, spiritualist or whatever, but they're starting to get involved with it more. And there's different shades I'll see around them. You know?
You also see symbols in the colors around people?
See what?
Symbols or images up in the aura around people, other than just the colors.
Well, the symbol, I won't say the symbols, but I will see blotches around an individual that needs health issues. Or I see wavy lines around people, which represents they're going through situations they need to deal with. But it also represents, it means that it could be on one side of them, and the other side could be really great, so there's an imbalance going on. So I see that type of, we call it symbols. But you can see tears or blotches in the auric emanation, which represents health situation with people. Yeah.
Are the colors always in the same order, like on the rainbow? Do they follow a pattern of order, or can they be in any order?
It can be pretty much in any order. Sure. Yeah. Stop asking questions. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, anybody else?
What's the most interesting aura that you've seen around somebody that especially with that, something unusual?
I don't, as far as the color goes,
As far as something that you hadn't seen before, like maybe like turn your head in the street and look at something like they have something very special or unique going on.
well, there's this one woman that I know, and I don't think it's the aura as much, I think it's the soul that I see, which is very light. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in my life, it's just brilliant. And, but that's not an aura. I don't recall anyone offhand. It's interesting. I could give you a private reading today, and as soon as you walk out the door, I'll forget it. Because I don't want to remember that. I want you to say, how are you, the next time I see you somewhere. Instead of, do you remember everything you said? I don't get that. I can let it go. So I can't really recall, to be honest with you, if there's anything that's wrong in that. I'm going to fall asleep up here. Really.
I see auras in trees and plants.
Okay.
I don't really see them in people as much, but I can see them in trees and plants. And
Well, people have said that, and I'm not too clear on it, to be honest with you, but I'm sure it must have some kind of energy feel like that. No.
Auras are light energy, so anything that has a living energy to it will have an aura.
Okay, anybody else? I'm going to do a song and dance team. No.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to change the subject unless you want to go back. If you want to go back to the please say so. But I'm going to talk about the alpha level for a moment. This is a form of meditation in which the medium will take the individual down 3 or 4 steps into what they call the delta level. And it's very effective. I've done it several times, back at different camps in different places, and you like it. And it's actually when you come down this level, because we all need to get more relaxed on different things. We're all uptight on different things today. It does form a meditative basis for you. It takes you down to the delta level, which is actually in the spirit side of life, to be honest with you. Now, I say that because when I did it at different camps, some of the things that the students would come up with would be fascinating. I didn't believe in it, to be honest with you, at first, because I like to get things tested. So I tried the alpha level myself, went down to the delta level, and I saw this. I had to be careful with my pronunciation because I'm from Massachusetts. So I saw this Native American Indian on a horse. It was next to a stream. But the thing that was interesting about it is they could actually hear the water flowing in the stream. And this is in the delta level. And he was a young Native American Indian. Later, about maybe 4 years later, I tried again, and the same thing appeared, only this time he was older. So that Indian progressed in stages when I progressed in my age. I'm only 35, by the way. They're all laughing at me again, I don't understand. But the delta level and the alpha level situation is good. By the way, we're in the beta level right now. This is the level we carry on for our daily existence. Thinking, planning, analyzation, the whole gamut. And there are times that we swing back into what they call the alpha level, which is more of a meditative state. And we do this automatically, and it's quite fascinating. Famous people have done it over the years, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and what they've done is gone down to the delta level to see the stuff that they're doing from a different perspective. And that's why we have so much interesting things today. So it's quite a fascinating thing. And I believe a lot of people need more meditation today of some kind. I think the alpha level is the way to go. Anybody have a question on that?
What was the purpose of going into the delta level?
Pardon?
What was the purpose of going into the delta level?
The purpose of going into the delta level is actually into the spirit side of life. Spirit side of life.
How else would you do that with? What
Pardon?
type of meditation did you use to achieve that?
You have to come to my class.
Oh.
No, but I try to protect the individuals going down. I use an elevator type
So
thing.
you use hypnosis technique, or
I mean,
you use a hypnosis technique?
well, to be honest with you, and I don't get into hypnosis because that's not my specialty. But
Relaxation, meditation?
yeah, it's a basic form of hypnosis, if you will. It's a guided type thing where you kind of watch the students go into these different levels, making sure they're going to be okay. And then when you look, I use an elevator as an example. So I keep everything together. And when you get into the delta level, I open the door and I tell them to look out and then look at what's out there. And like I said, when we come back up into the beta, this level here, the beta level, some of the things you come up with is very fascinating. Some see spirit, some see colors, some see different things you haven't seen before. It's very fascinating. And they all feel good about it. Seriously, it's a relaxation. You know. Anything else? Anything on that? Yes?
I also use that form in my mediumship work. And what I have found is that people are able to go to such a deep level of healing, you don't have to fight against the ego, you know? It's interesting. They come out on the other side with such a deep sense of healing because they were in a state of such acceptance and peace. And so I think it's very helpful.
It is very helpful, and I'm not trying to, emphasize it too much, but I've seen it work a lot around people, and it helps them out a great deal. You know, it really does. You know. When you say ego, I like that, because I wrote a lecture called As You Go Out, EGO. Anything else?
It's interesting because when you think about it from a science perspective, that the symbol delta, when you're working in chemical equations and stuff like that, represents change. And not that I was very good in chemistry, but you know, I've always thought of that symbol of delta as being a symbol of transformation. And so it sounds like, you know, that there's a similar energy to it. Right, that if we're moving from beta down to alpha, get comfortable on that alpha level, and then ultimately, you know, move down to those other levels where that feeling of transformation can occur.
I'm glad you're not a chemist.
Me too. Yes.
I have to say this very quickly. My granddaughter's 16 years of age, and she's taken Mandarin, Chinese, French, and chemistry. I don't even know how to mix water. I don't know where she came from. But no, that's an awesome point. Anything else? Anybody have any coffee and donuts? No, go ahead. But I think the alpha level, and they call it the alpha level, I think it's very interesting. It's very, as you mentioned, you can pick up a lot of things from there. Now, you do that all the time before you read, or what?
I do that after the reading.
After the reading.
I do my reading, and then, and it's interesting because people say to me, like, how did you know to take notes? I've taken people to their child's playground. I said, I don't. I'm going with you. You know, I'm just making it safe,
Yes.
guiding you,
Yeah.
but this is your soul taking a journey where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's always good to think straight afterwards, too. Yeah.
Before and after.
Very different.
Do you also work with theta level?
The what?
Theta level? Between alpha and delta is theta.
Yes, I've heard of it. No, I don't work with that.
No?
But there is one called the gamma level.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, it's interesting because it gave an example from that this woman lifted a vehicle, I have to say vehicle, lifted the vehicle up because her child was underneath the vehicle to save the kid's life. I said, I don't want to meet that girl, that's for sure.
That was my mom.
Was it really?
Yeah. We saw her do it. She was
Really?
8 months pregnant when she did it too.
And she did that?
Yeah, she lifted the car and we pulled the little boy out.
Wow. That's amazing because that's when you really know the strength of what you can do going after. When you save the kid, she saved the kid's life.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's good. Now we know who wrote that article. And you can tell your mother I don't want to meet her.
She's passed on, so you can connect with her.
That's cute. Okay, anybody else have on that? Any questions you may have? Because you got me up here all day. You know. No. Okay. Going back to the oral, it's very effective. It's very good for people to understand it, but understand it the right way. If you're going to take lessons on it, go to someone that really knows how to teach it, because there's so many people who really don't understand it as much. So do that. And the same thing with the airport. Any of these things you go to, up here at Casablanca, you have a lot of good teachers here. Make sure you go to the one that knows what they're doing, because you have a lot up there to do. And take some classes on it. Learn these things. You know, the things are changing now, earth-wise. So we need to try to help everybody else out, but also help ourselves as well. We need to stay positive more and know that we're going to be okay. Is there any question before they kick me off the podium? I think they're going to kick me off pretty soon.
We've got about 17 minutes, if you'd like.
I got 17 minutes. Oh my goodness. Mediumship. Does anybody know what a medium is? Come on.
An instrument.
A what?
An instrument that gets communication from the spirit and communicates it to the center.
Right. So you can't take credit for it because because they're doing all the work. We're just the transceiver. You give all the information out, just like I said, they tell you, you tell people. Yeah, that's good. You've had a lot of training in it?
Yeah, I've done it professionally for over 20 years.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting because I find that every medium, you know, I used to say a channel, but it's not a channel, it really is an instrument, because the way I give information is going to be different the way someone else gives it. It could be the same spirit, but they talk to me in my kind of sense of humor, and, you know, so I think it's interesting. It does come through in a different way, I think, for each medium.
Correct. Yeah, everybody has their own terminology on it. You know, yeah, that's good. Do you see spirit guides around people?
Yes, I do see spirit guides around people, and I never really know. I don't know if this is common, but I never know when I see someone if they're dead or alive, or if it's a guide or an ancestor or someone. So I just explain who it is.
Okay.
You know, the details.
Anybody else want to take a crack at mediumship? It's a good thing. It's a great thing, by the way.
I'd like to ask her a question if I could, please. Can you turn that on or off?
Absolutely.
Shut yourself down from it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do not. I would go crazy if I did. So I only am in that. I mean, sometimes it'll sneak in. It has snuck in occasionally. Like I'll touch someone's hand and know it's something they're pregnant or something. But usually I only when I'm doing the reading.
So I'm sure you're going to have to take you some time to learn how to shut that down.
Absolutely. I had to learn how to. I don't have to do it anymore. But in the beginning, I had to literally disconnect and shut down, because if not, I'd go to the mall and I would hear all these things and feel all these things. Yeah, so I learned to use it, you know, just like a doctor, you know, when he goes to a cocktail party, he's not thinking, is that mole on your face cancerous, or is that, you know? So I just do it when someone comes to me for healing.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have to shut it off. You know, I go into a restaurant and say, here comes a medium. I say I'm on duty. Because when you do a reading, you don't want to violate their privacy. I don't believe in that. You know, in other words, you don't see somebody and just go over to them and say, guess what? This is what's going on. You don't do that. It's confidential.
Well, I have to say though, for me, I almost, sometimes I say I'm a dyslexic medium, because a lot of times the person who's transitioned will come to me, and then I find they're human. So I'm like, oh, great, you have this message, and I'm going to have to find you're human. But it always turns out that someone will call me or someone will come, so, yeah.
Just be careful, you. That's good. You got a good attitude about it, because it's very important to shut it off at the right time and put it on at the right time. Absolutely. I get that, because people stop me on the street and say, do you remember what you said to me? I said, no. And I really don't. I don't even know their names. I just block it out. But you had a question, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between a medium and a psychic?
I get in trouble for doing that.
Uh-oh.
Where did you come from? No. There is a difference. And I have to say what I believe in. A medium is receiving information from spirit. A psychic really at times is not. If I went over to you and held your hand, I'd probably slap the heck out of you. But if I ask for your watch, I'm tuning into your vibrational frequency. That's basically what a psychic does. Is there any, there's one better than the other? No. It's just the way they're taught. But it's kind of confusing when they say psychic medium. You're either one or the other, really.
You both?
You can be, but a lot, as you,
Mediums, yes.
yeah, but as you know,
But what happens is you tunnel, if you're doing the mediumistic reading, you're tunneling in on mediumistic spirit communication. But you can also be quite intuitive as a psychic. So you can do both. You don't have to be one or the other.
well, as I was saying, as you know, medium can be a psychic, but not necessarily a psychic becoming a medium.
That's true.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When you're reading the aura, are you in the psychic world?
No, I'm in the mediumship world.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because I understand aura as the energetic envelope, so to speak. So, can you explain that a little bit further?
Well, I get all the information from my guy. I don't take, like I said, I don't take credit for it. Now, if I was to go over and hold your hand or take a watch or something, I'm tuning into you, that's different. So there is a difference, I think.
So maybe some psychics read the aura psychically and
Oh,
others mediums do it?
I have no doubts. Yeah, sure. Why not? They can do it and they can interpret the way they were taught to interpret it. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I believe when you're getting a psychic reading, that it isn't as deep.
Pardon?
I believe when you get a psychic reading, it isn't as deep as spiritual. If you're doing a spiritual thing, you're getting the real thing.
That's a good point, and I won't disagree with you on that, but I don't want to go against the psychics because they do it, yeah.
They don't usually give you the same.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and the point's well, it's true. I think you get more from mediumship than you do, because the spirit guide will give you more because they see a lot more from where they're located. That's enough on you.
I know. Well, I've done both, and I do both in the same reading. So this is how I explain the difference to people. Like trying to sit at a table and figure out a crossword puzzle. That's like psychic work. Like my energies. But mediumship works like whispering in my ear. You know, find out a cross is this, that. So it's, I'm out of the equation. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I used to do mostly psychic work, I would be draining. When I would do 8 readings a day, I would be so drained. And now I can do 4 or 5, I did 4 2-hour sessions the other day and drove home daily. You know, and I was just at this level because it's mediumship. It's like listening to someone, listening to my grandma or whoever, just tell me information, and I just pass it on to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. You do get trained as a psychic, I know that. Yeah.
So you can read the aura by listening to it and by setting the energy?
I see work. I don't, my mediumship work, I've never had, because, mine's just a little different. I don't work with a specific guide. I work with the individuals' ancestors, whoever souls show up for them. But they tell me things, but when I see an aura, I see it's like, so I think I go into both, and I purposely try to skip back into mediumship work now when I'm in the middle of a reading, because I know that it's easier, and also they're going to get more information from a spirit versus my intuition.
So you're reading from her guide.
Yes.
Not yours.
Right.
The guy on strike?
No, my guide, this is what I do. I tell my guides in the morning to get their guides in line and to figure it all out and get it all organized. So when I show up, I talk directly.
Okay. No, I'm not, I think it's interesting because 9 times out of 10, when my guy will tell me information, I connect with, for example, I was reading for this woman, connect with individuals around her. So it's good. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Each one has a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
As long as it works, that's the big thing. Good. Yeah. Anybody else?
I don't have as much experience with, I'm only fairly new to the psychic medium, like language or speaking about things are coming here for the past few months, but I practiced yoga for about 20 years, and it's interesting because yoga, you can think of it as a physical exercise, so if you're powering through it, then that's like what you were talking about, that using yourself. But if you allow the energy to move through you, mostly by the breath, like your physical breath, then you can accomplish almost any challenging class. Like I always said, I can do whatever posture as long as I use my breath. You're using the breath in the proper manner, you can play the instrument, like that organ over there. You're not pedaling the keys within the right rhythm, it's not going to sound right, but if you get into this flow, and so that sounds to me the same as allowing this process to work through you, coming through you, and that practice. But I think people who are inclined towards psychic connection, intuitive connection, might find themselves maybe going towards that mediumship because they're naturally inclined towards that.
Well, I think the other thing is too is when you say medium, it sounds something different. the connotation of the word medium. He says psychic is more accepted thing because it's all on TV now and all that type of thing. But that's interesting. Okay, what else? I'm sure you have 1,000 questions.
I'll think of one if you give me a moment.
That's 1,001. But it's very fascinating. And up here, in most of the churches, the spiritual churches, we teach mediumship, which is good. Yeah.
Oh, can you speak a little bit about discernment and spirits? You know, we have our guides and our helpers, but what if some rogue spirit comes in and starts swearing or something like that? Does that ever happen to you?
No.
Oh, I do. I'm a student too.
I really believe if you protect yourself, ask only the right spirit to come into you, you're going to get the right one there.
It hasn't happened, but I just wondered.
Yeah, no. People are afraid of the dark energies coming in and all that stuff. But if you're a good person, your heart and soul, you're going to only attract the right ones around you. If that's what you're talking about. And if somebody comes in, you should identify who they are. You know, if you already know your spirit guides around you, you know who they are and what they look like and their names and so forth. And if some stranger comes in, you want to know who they are.
What if it's the person in front of you has like something weird with that person? Did your guides stop that person from talking, or that spirit? Do you understand my question?
I think if you're talking about the spirit.
I just want to say, for me, I start every reading with only the highest and best will come, and I've never had anyone that wasn't. Even if it's someone that person had a really hard time with, like I've had people who had children who were murdered and different things and stuff show up, but the message that they had to give them was for their highest and best. So that's what I say. I only want messages for the highest and best. I'm here to be helpful and harmless.
What's
your name? Eileen, thank you.
I agree with the same on that. You want the highest and best for anyone.
Okay.
Well done. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And it's so nice to have you people here. And if you have any questions, I'll be around here most of the day. Just let me know.